Since the film's release back in 2017, I have desperately wanted to tackle Blade Runner 2049. Like most people, I adore the original Ridley Scott film, but this follow-up was just straight up something else. It wasn't, unlike some sci-fi sequels, a slave to the original. Instead, the movie went above and beyond. It built up cliches and tropes only to completely deconstruct them. In a simple word, it was, and still is, perfect. Over the past few weeks, I've been in pre-production on a short film I'm making. When I was researching the sort of atmosphere I wanted my movie to have, I kept coming back to Blade Runner 2049. One of my favourite components of
Denis Villeneuve's
sequel is how the movie feels, or in more colloquial terms, the overall vibe of it. To me, and I don't exactly know what this says about myself, Blade Runner 2049 is a really soothing piece of art. The whole film reminds me of those gorgeous Simon Stahlenhag paintings, whether it be the visual presentation of Los Angeles, the impeccable sound design, or the robust score. Blade Runner 2049 perfects atmosphere. Sorry to interrupt the video, guys, but before we continue, I just want to give a huge shout out to this week's sponsor, CyberGhost VPN. The VPN service provides unlimited access to over 6,200 servers in over 90 countries. To make things even easier and better for you, you can use CyberGhost VPN with your Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, Amazon Fire Stick, Linux, your smart TVs, your PlayStations, or your Xbox. And all of that can be done with just one subscription. Recently, I decided to be a good little Italian and start watching The Sopranos. Well, unfortunately for me, The Sopranos was not available on the Australian version of Prime Video. Luckily for me, I used CyberGhost VPN, I logged into the United States server, and bada bing, bada boom, I was watching The Sopranos in no time. If you want to be like me and watch The Sopranos, you can sign up for CyberGhost VPN today and receive this special offer of $2.75 per month for your first 18 months by clicking the link in the description. I'd just like to point out that CyberGhost VPN offer a 45-day money-back guarantee, so it's totally risk-free. In addition to Amazon Prime, CyberGhost VPN allows you to unblock streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, HBO Go, and Disney+. Guys, that's just $49.50 for a year and a half. Now, I've used other VPN services before, but nothing has ever been that cheap. So please, check out CyberGhost VPN and let me know what you decide to watch. That's enough from me. Now on to the rest of the video. I remember watching Blade Runner 2049 in a completely empty theatre on opening night. And I also remember just being absolutely transported to this nightmare world. Within the first few minutes of 2049, the audience is spoilt with an array of perfection. Much like the Ridley Scott original, the film opens with a gorgeous shot of an eye as the music soars and we are reintroduced to the beautiful and terrifying world of Blade Runner. This soothing and yet eerie atmosphere in the first scene is truly masterful. The way in which
Villeneuve
immediately throws you as a viewer into the world of 2049 is just insane. Normally a film's setting takes a while to grab the audience, but in this case, before we are even introduced to a lead character, the director shows off this ghostly world. Unlike many sci-fi films in recent memory,
Villeneuve
adores the long take. Take this shot for instance. The director holds onto this establishing shot for nearly 20 seconds as we soak up the atmosphere that he is creating. From this frame, we can see how repetitive and robust the universe has really become. It makes you feel confined and almost sick. When we arrive on Morton's farm, just look at how detailed and lived in this place feels. There's a real life to the set, as if it exists far wider than the camera lens wants us to see. When Villeneuve was first asked by the film's production designer how to describe the world of 2049 in one word, the filmmaker responded, brutality. If you look at the design and feel of Officer K's apartment and how packed, crammed, and cruel the place truly is, brutality is certainly the word that comes to mind. But on a grander scale, the whole of 2049 feels this way. Look at this scene here where the spinner is in the air. Look at how narrow and crammed in the streets of this world truly are. There's a real sense of overpopulation, suffocation, and claustrophobia throughout the entire atmosphere of this film. A few years ago, I made a video about Call Me By Your Name and how Luca Guadagnino crafts the film to feel like a distant memory. Well, in Blade Runner 2049, Villeneuve does a very similar thing here, except instead of reminding the audience of a beautiful past, the filmmaker builds an atmosphere to reflect a damned future. Everything about Blade Runner 2049 feels like a warning. From the film's imagery, we can assume that the environment has gone to shit, the rich have left and found home off-world, and the housing industry completely crashed, thus paving the way for block-like apartments, as seen with Kay's building. The world of Blade Runner 2049 is a world of tragedy, albeit a pretty realistic one. Roger Deakins, who won an Oscar for his cinematography here, almost tricks you into finding peace within the dirt-plagued world of 2049. Take the scene in which Kay walks the streets of Los Angeles, for example. The sound and production design is simply insane. The colours are popping, however, just from watching it, you kind of feel grubby. You feel drenched, as if you've been standing in the pouring rain for hours. As I previously said, the film does a remarkable job at transporting you into the movie's world. I chalk this up to the fact that the sound and production designers were tasked with making a setting that feels like a natural evolution of our world, not something too distant from us like a galaxy far, far away. This urban soundboard that's used here feels ripped straight from a city like Tokyo or New York, and yet there's a real dystopian feel to it. Unlike Star Wars, the atmosphere of 2049 feels closer to home, and thus its ability to completely blur that line between fiction and reality. This is actually really well continued with Hans Zimmer's beautiful score for the film. The composer merges his unique and iconic sound with the industrial, robust world that Villeneuve, Deakins, and the production/sound designers have truly crafted. While sure, there are moments of clarity and peace, such as when Kay accepts his destiny in the film's conclusion, for the most part, the score is borderline inhumane. For me, this is perfectly showcased in the film's seawall sequence. Instead of being tasked with crafting big, expensive-sounding musical cues, Zimmer composes a score that sounds as if it's actually from the world of Blade Runner itself, thus allowing us as an audience to be fully transported to this terrifying world and eerie atmosphere. I guess what I'm trying to say with this piece today is that Blade Runner 2049 has an amazing vibe. When you watch the film, you are transported there. Whether it be on your laptop or iPhone, it simply doesn't matter. Every single component of the film, whether it be visual, sound, or production, is so determined on making you as a viewer feel as if this world exists, or perhaps will exist. Personally, that's what I look for in cinema. I want to be transported and taken to a place, believing that place exists long after the credits have rolled. For me, Blade Runner 2049 executes that and more, as showcased through the film's perfect atmosphere.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Hi guys, thank you so much for watching this week's video. Before I go, I just want to remind you about CyberGhost VPN. Try out CyberGhost VPN for the special offer of $2.75 a month for your first 18 months. You certainly can by heading over to the link in the description. I just want to say again, thank you so much for watching this week's video. Until next time, bye bye.